alongside Steven Simcox. Steven, how you holding up? How you holding up after that rant? Are you back down? Are you even keeled down?
I mean, vulnerability is always good. I think it feels good to just get that out there.
You know, I've never been prouder of you. I feel like, I mean, that was a very Paul-esque rant.
That was.
Well, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, like, I don't have kids.
I'm one of your proteges.
Yeah. And so I've known you since you were in college. And when I see, like, part of me come out in someone, I mean, I beam with pride. It's like maybe the first time that you heard your kid say, you know,
Dad or something.
They'll go, like, you know, say a horn frog. Like,
yeah.
I don't know what I can't remember what your slogan is.
Go Frogs.
Go Frogs. Oh, yeah. So
very original.
Go Frogs.
Just, I mean, can't compete with it.
Yeah. Like, you know, why would you want to be a pony? I don't know. Like,
I know. Yeah.
So
what a world we live in.
Yeah.
But yes, I feel okay. And we're doing, I mean, sticking on the SMU topic, we're doing buy or sell, Paul, teams that can still win a title.
Still win a title.
Mainly
like the national title?
Yes, national title.
These are
mainly multiple loss teams. Okay. They're the few one-loss teams.
So we're not even ranking. We're just buying and selling.
We're just buy or sell. Okay. Can they win a national title?
Okay. I'm here for this.
You want me to spin?
Yeah, go ahead. Okay.
Kansas State.
I'm going to sell. I think they're not quite. Now, if you let's fast forward this to same time next year, I'll probably buy. I think you're seeing the foundations of a team that can do some things, but they've got some youth, and you know they're just not like they're not putting their stamp on games like teams that can win championships can. They're very, very good. They're very, very good. And look, after this, if you told me that the Big 12 fell their way all of a sudden, they win Farmageddon, they win the championship, they get in the championship game, they get there. Like, if all the Big 12 fell their way, like, I wouldn't be surprised. But I think that ultimately they're just not quite balanced enough to win 3 games in a row and win the playoff.
So, dumb question, like, how good is Houston? Because they've had these high moments. They've had inexplicable losses. I mean, I get it's year one. They're turning over this roster, but they're just an odd team, Paul. I mean, it seems like they can beat anybody any week and also lose.
Yeah. Bracket Cat said Junior Avery will be a scourge next year for everybody, and I also say I think it's going to be tough. And I'm president of the Avery Johnson fan club, and I just think that like there's just something missing from them that makes me confident that okay, if you have to play 3 playoff games, you can win all 3 of those. I just don't know if they have that.
Right.
Yeah.
All right, so selling on Kansas State.
Selling on Kansas State.
All right, we'll go Notre Dame.
Notre Dame. Yeah, I buy it. They got a veteran leader at quarterback. Their passing offense is not what it needs to be for modern college football. They're not going to get a first-round bye because they're not in a conference, so they're going to have to take the long way, but they're going to get a home playoff game, which should buoy their spirits. They can run the ball. Their defense is lethal. Their offensive line is really good in spite of losing 2 of its best players before the season started. Marcus Freeman is that guy at coach. I think he's dynamic and hasn't even scratched the surface of the things he's going to do. So yeah, I buy Notre Dame as a contender. I think they can win this year with that defense and that running game.
That Northern Illinois loss feels like it was like 10 years ago.
Yeah.
I mean, like one from just where they are now, but also just it actually feels like a long time ago. So, I mean, it's the cool thing about the new system is you can drop a game like that. Notre Dame's a little bit different than everybody else, but you can still, in theory, have a shot to go win the whole thing. SMU.
Can I buy, sell, or hold?
Sure, you can hold.
Okay, I'm going to hold. I'm going to hold the stock for right now. I'm not going to buy it. I'm not going to sell it. I'm going to hold off. I feel we're like mad money right now. I'm going to hold. I'm going to hold on SMU. I think that they maybe could, but I need to see what happens against Miami. That's what I need to see. When you're playing a super, like they've got some good wins this year, no doubt. But when you're playing a super dynamic player like Cam Ward, what happens? That to me, with those receivers that he has and the running backs that they have, what happens. They have not, I would say, played a super dynamic talent yet.
They lost to Boston College in the Pinstripe Bowl last year. They lost to a TCU team whose quarterback at the time is now lighting it up at North Texas. And they lost handily. How did this happen? I don't understand, Garrett.
I don't know, man.
Okay, so we're holding on SMU.
Yeah, we're going to hold. I know it's a cop-out, but.
Miami.
I'm going to sell right now. I think they have the offense to win it, but their defense is trash. I mean, I do not see them. I mean, if they play Boise State or Wazoo in the first round, like teams that can run the ball, I mean, can
Control
they stop
the clock,
that?
yeah.
Yeah. I mean, shoot, you know who the worst matchup in the country for them is after watching Georgia Tech throw no passes? Bryson Daly and Army. Should Army get there, which I don't think they will because I don't think, the committee
will allow it.
Yeah. We're going to be like, we have to put Army in this thing. Anything but that. Rank somebody else higher. We don't understand this option offense.
Yeah.
We thought we moved past it. No, I'm selling on them right now. They don't have a good enough defense to win. Again, you've got to win multiple games in a row to win the title. So this is not just you got to win, three games. Yeah,
winning one game on neutral field or even two.
Yeah. No, I just think that their defense is not good enough.
They feel like the Lamar Jackson Louisville teams, which those are really good teams.
Yeah.
But a lot of it was just like dynamic player. What do you think of Cam Ward in the NFL? Like what do you feel?
I think he's intriguing.
Okay.
I mean, he's got some talent. I think that to go from the NFL telling you to go back to school to now being one of the top quarterbacks is one heck of a grab. But he's played a lot of football. Mm-hmm. See, that's the thing I like about Michael Penix compared to some others. That's why I think I like Bo Nix. That's why I like Jaden Daniels. Like the quarterbacks at this year's draft, I'll tell you, J.J. McCarthy, all of them in the first round have played a lot of football.
Right.
The ones I don't like, I get nervous about, are the ones like Anthony Richardson who haven't played a lot of football. Like he's got 10 NFL starts. He only had 10 starts at Florida. Mm-hmm. So he's not had a lot of starts. Cam Ward's had a ton of starts. Shedeur Sanders has had a ton of starts. Quinn Ewers has had a ton of starts at this point. He can't say completely healthy. That's going to be Quinn's thing. But those, when I think about the top quarterbacks in the draft, those are the three right now that come to mind.
Right. And
they've played a lot of ball. And I'd rather have that than, oh man, this kid had one great season, because then you're in Trey Lance territory. Mm-hmm. Now, Trey Lance did start a lot of games at North Dakota State, but he didn't start a lot of games in the level he needed to, So, and look, if Trey Lance existed right now, he'd have won 2 titles at North Dakota State, and then he would be playing at, at Colorado. Well, I say Colorado, but he'd be at Kansas State, or he'd
some
be
Power
at,
5 school,
he'd be at LSU, or he'd be somewhere where there's okay, well, I'm going to go, get some starts in the SEC mm-hmm. and show off a little bit here. So,
Penn State.
Nope.
Just one loss, Paul.
Nope. I've been trashing them all week. Defense is great. Offense is actually good most of the time. But they just, James Franklin, their problem is the coaching in big games. That beating a team that's on their level. Mm-hmm. They don't. They beat everybody. Okay, do you remember Scott Farkas in The Christmas Story? And then he had Grover Dill.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
That was his toady.
Yes.
They are Grover Dill. Grover Dill is scary to all the other kids.
Right.
And they run off. And Randy lays there like a slug. It's his only defense. But, when it comes to Scott Farkas, they can't beat Scott Farkas. So.
Dude, yeah. I mean, it's rough. I've made that joke before that they just exist to be a resume builder for Michigan and Ohio State, but it really does feel like it's real right now.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so I agree with you.
Yeah.
We're selling on Penn State.
Yeah.
Colorado.
No, can't run the ball. Can't run the ball. You're going to have to run the ball at some point. Now, they have, like, if they got in the playoff, I would have no problem saying, like, yeah, they're going to knock somebody out of it. Mm-hmm. But I just don't think that they can beat the upper echelon teams that can run the ball. And, you know, because there's going to be a time at a game where you need to run the clock out, and they can't. So, you know, you like teams, I always think of it this way, teams that rely so much on the pass, you know, it's like relying on your ace pitcher to have his stuff every time out.
Right.
So, like, you're really relying on Shedeur to have his stuff every time out, which for the most part this year he has. Mm-hmm. Even the Kansas State game, he had his stuff, but they just lost to a team that was better than him that night. Didn't have his best stuff against Nebraska, and he's going to see a couple teams that play like that if he gets to the playoff. I think that, like, occasionally, you know what? Roger Clemens goes out there and gives up 4 home runs.
Right.
Like, it's not, you know, he's not painting the corners every time.
It doesn't travel. It's just not.
Yeah, it's just not like today, like,
not
you're not
consistent
accurate.
enough.
You know, it's raining or it's not the weather's bad.
Another team's more physical, you know, whatever the case is.
You've got a DB who can take, you know, a couple of your receivers out of it, you know, so.
Texas A&M.
Not yet. They will be, though. I think Mike Elko's the right
He's
dude.
the guy?
He's the guy. Now, if they get in it, I think they can win some games, but I think ultimately their offense isn't
where it needs to be.
No, they've got some good players, but now, like, Le'Veon Moss is out. Mm-hmm. You know, they're down. Lamar Daniels was the third running back. I mean, they're going to have to get creative with who gets the ball, like, in the running game. That's not Marcel Reed or Amari Daniels. Their receivers are good, but they don't have an alpha dog.
Right.
They have a whole bunch of they have like 4 number 2s. Like, those guys are all really good, but they need someone who is, you know, an alpha. Like, they need a Kyron Lacey, they need a Ryan Williams, they need an Isaiah Bond, like a guy who's like, okay, well, in this moment, like, right, Tez Johnson, like, give me the ball. Yeah. Anybody who's ever apparently played wide receiver at Ohio State is that guy.
We saw Torian York, linebacker, at the Temple game this past week, and he was saying, like, yeah, the South Carolina game was definitely a, man, we got a target on our back type of thing. And, I mean, they're still confident. He was talking about how incredible that Texas game is going to be, which it will be. I mean, it's going to be amazing. But it does feel like they're maybe a year or two away from being in full form.
Yeah, I think, you know, watch that, like, next year I would not be surprised to see them at least repeat what they're doing right now and be better, because they're gonna have, there's gonna be a couple dudes who show up there,
right?
But their defense is good enough to beat anybody apparently but South Carolina and Notre Dame. But their defense is actually good enough to beat Notre Dame. They play good enough defense. They didn't play the offense that night, but their defense is good enough to beat Notre Dame. Their defense obviously not good enough to beat South Carolina, but, you know, everybody has their one-offs.
That's right. Yep. Georgia.
Yes, I buy Georgia. They're Georgia. Like, they'll figure out Carson Beck. Or maybe Jaden Rashada is just sitting there waiting. Or
just patiently waiting.
Patiently waiting to come in and
save the day, turn the season around.
Yeah, and Tua him. You know, I don't know. But I don't even know if he's technically the backup, but
I'm not sure.
Yeah, who knows? I don't know.
He's on the roster.
But, like, or Carson Beck corrects what's been going on with him, and they're fine. They get some guys back healthy. Now, the one thing that makes me worried about Georgia's biggest problem is they had season-ending injuries on the offensive line. Now, that would not have been a big deal even a year ago to them. But now they're also feeling the effects of that transfer portal where those guys who were true freshmen 2 years ago, that last year, you know, that they were still blocked behind the other guy, that's the NFL guy. Well, now they're gone because they transferred to play somewhere else.
Right.
Or, you know, they just don't have that depth. Like, the you know, the 2022 team literally could have, that offensive line could have left after the first snap, and they could have put the other 5 teams in, and
they would have
scored 6 less points. Like there would have been 1 3rd and 6 they didn't get, right? If there was even a third down that was that long in that game, I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, no. So I think they can because they're Georgia. But I'm not just saying like stamp it, mark it. They could wind up out of this thing after this week.
Right, for sure. Alabama.
Yes. Yeah. Dynamic coach, dynamic quarterback. Defense is getting better. Defense isn't great. The offense needs to be a little bit more consistent, but yeah, with Milroe, with Kalen DeBoer,
Ryan Williams,
like
Yeah, he's pretty good.
yeah, they've got some people that can make some things happen. I'm going to be fascinated to see when they get an actual running back again at Alabama.
I don't want to see that. Thank
No.
you.
Alabama, like LSU actually has one, and Caden Durham, I think that has some.
Finally.
Yeah, but Alabama, like for them the last 2 years, not to have a running back that affects the game at all.
Yeah, super rare.
It's kind of surprising me. But yeah, I think they can.
All right, we got, I think, 3 more left here.
Yeah.
Tennessee.
Yeah, they can. Dynamic quarterback, head coach, defense is really good running game. They're, the offense has been a little bit figured out, but it hasn't really slowed them down that much. I mean, they keep winning.
I believe I need to double check this, but I believe I saw that Nico's out this weekend for a concussion.
I know he's in concussion
that's-
protocol. I don't know if they
yeah.
officially ruled him out, but yeah.
Yeah.
So I think I think so. And look, if they lose this week, they're still not out of it because they'd be
True.
a 2-loss
Yeah.
SEC team. But
Right.
they might be out of the SEC championship game, but they'd have 2 losses in the SEC. So yeah, but yeah, I buy it.
Clemson.
Not a chance. No. They're they're better than I thought they would be, but no.
And Ole Miss, finally.
Yep. Look, their defense, like they proved it this week. That
You're missing half your team and you beat Georgia.
yeah. I mean, their biggest thing is like if they get healthy, if they know that Trey Harris, who was putting up Heisman numbers before he's been out for the last month. I mean, he was like, if they get Trey Harris back for the stretch run, I mean, watch out. If they get those running backs back, if they get any of the guys that were out, like they had 13 guys, I think, out. They had 26 guys on the injury list, and half of them played, half of them didn't. Jackson Dart got hurt during the game. I was like, well, that's it for this, and then came back in. I think he missed 2 plays overall. They punted, and then he came back in the next drive. So yeah, no, Lane Kiffin was missing a signature win. He's got it now. The one thing they don't have is mystique. There's no nobody's like, oh, here comes Ole Miss again. They have no mystique.
Right.
It's going to take a generation for them to get mystique. But they actually now have some street cred and some confidence for themselves. Like, okay, we can beat Georgia because they were the SEC's Penn State the last couple of years.
Yep.
Reasonably, like their same thing where, oh yeah, Vanderbilt comes in here, like, get out of here, kid. South Carolina, don't care. LSU, oh, jumped up and got you. Oh, it's a down year though. They don't have a defense. Like, so they got LSU, on a dip, but A&M, yeah, sure. We'll go toe to toe with you. Alabama, ooh, please don't hurt me, sir. I'm old. I'm weak and frail. Georgia, oh God. Like that was how it was. Look at that. They lost in the Sugar Bowl to a Baylor team that quarterback
was asked to leave.
I mean, like I remember like telling Jerry Hill, I was like, the quarterback just played his way to the tight end room and they won the Sugar Bowl because Dave Aranda's defense punished them, like repeatedly punished them. So like when they got to fight another bully, they got knocked down. But now, yeah, they knocked down another big bully. So they're there. So.
Yeah, it feels like for some of these teams, I mean, almost not playing in the SEC title game could be a benefit as far as just getting in the playoff, and then you go from there.
So, yeah, I mean, to go back on Clemson just a little bit, like, I mean, they're good, but they've played 2 teams that were as good as them this year or better, and they got shelled by Georgia, and Louisville didn't really have that much of a problem with them. So I kind of feel like they're a bit of a Penn State-ish type team where, this not used to be Clemson. Clemson used to just take on all comers and drill them. But, when they play a team that's, at their level. I mean, they got the gift of a schedule this year, and boy, they do with it. They've lost to Georgia badly. The Louisville game was embarrassing, not because they lost to Louisville, but because the coaching staff, particularly the guy in charge, made several decisions. You're like, can you count? Did something happen? I know you used to be really good at this, but what happened to where, has the math become too advanced now? Mm-hmm. Like back when you were in Algebra 1, you killed it. But now that you're in Trig, you're struggling. You're struggling. I don't know what's going on. So, yeah, but yeah, no, I don't buy them as a contender. And clearly neither does the committee because of where they've got them ranked.
Okay, something I need to ask you before we go. Can you please give your thoughts on Jerry Jones being asked about putting curtains up in his stadium, in his windows, and saying that they should just burn the whole place to the ground?
Yeah. So Jerry's always been an incompetent GM.
Yeah.
He's now veering into the area of incompetent owner.
Yes.
He was always he was the most competent owner. There's nobody better at being an owner than Jerry.
Yeah, marketing the team, all that stuff.
Yeah, all that stuff.
10 of 10.
But now he's veering into you're not good at this anymore. It's almost as if that we should not give people in their late 70s and 80s really important positions of power. I don't know. I'm glad it only happens in sports. But we've seen this with the windows before, and he's always like, yeah, we like to know where the sun is. And all the thing is, Jerry, that doesn't matter because it's not like, Smokey brought a thing about, well, what about the old Boston Garden where there's like a dead spot in the floor? I'm like, well, look, if CeeDee Lamb gets open at that spot, it's not like he can be like, no, like over here. Mm-hmm. Like, no, we really need to run it to this spot. Like,
right.
If that's where he's open and the sun is directly in his face, then yeah, maybe like this time of year, the sun shines towards that way really badly. When you're going that way, or if you're turning around in the end zone and facing that way, it shines in your face. I remember Jason Witten dropping a very key pass, which I think might have been a touchdown, because the sun got in his eyes. And look, that's part of football, and the sun can get in your eyes in other stadiums too.
Right.
But the way that it comes through the prism of the glass is really something they can't kind of avoid. And if Jerry's saying it's a home field advantage, well, it is proven out over the years to not be an advantage for the Cowboys. And it is something that you could easily fix with just like a shutter that goes over that little part of the window that when the game's over, when everything else,
open it up.
Yeah, I wanted to make it look like it was outside. Then open the damn roof. The roof opens, and then it is outside.
Yeah.
Don't worry about that. So
it's insane.
Yeah, but if there's a sun shining in, and look, I can tell you, sometimes I'm here doing the show, and the curtain will get moved, and because there's a car parked at the light waiting to go, there's 2 minutes where I'm like, can the light please turn green because it's right here and I can't move.
Right.
So yes. Now I have a curtain so that the next time it happens, which will be 5 minutes after that, I'm not constantly during the show like this. Well, I'm not trying to win Super Bowls here. So we have a curtain. We have something you do. You could put some different tint on the window. I don't know.
There's options.
Look, I'm going to tell you a story I think I've probably told on this show before, but I'm going to tell you a story about Jerry Jones and what lengths he went to make that the best stadium in the world. They were in Germany on vacation, and they saw a marble at wherever they were, the hotel or something. And they said, my God, this is the most unbelievable marble in the world. We have to have this for outside the stadium. This is perfect. This is what we've been looking for. This is what, when you walk up, that's the marble on the walkway with engravings and all that stuff. That is what is there. And so he goes and he finds the marble company. They said, well, no, sir. I'm sorry, Edward Jones. We only sell it to companies in Germany, in Deutschland. And he's like, okay. He bought the company, got all the marble he needed, plus some backup for in case something happens, then sold the company. I promise you,
He can
the
figure
fix
out
for
the
the
curtain
windows
thing. Yeah.
is not that expensive. But now it's become a point of contention to where he's just giving double birds to everyone, especially the Dallas media, who's made way too big a deal of it. This is not the first time, though.
No.
This has been a thing forever. So this is, I think, the first time the rest of the world is finding out about it. But if you've covered the Cowboys for any length of time at all, you know that especially the radio guys, especially them, love to harp on the sunshine in the windows. And we know Jerry listens to all that stuff on both the stations, on the Ticket and the Fan. Mm-hmm. And there was another one for a long time that's gone now, but he listened to all of it all the time. He hears everything everybody says. And most days he loves it, good or bad. But the window thing, I think, is really bothering him because the one thing he's done right over these whole 30 years of not winning the Super Bowl was he built the premier sports and entertainment venue in the entire world. And for you to say that it has a flaw,
it's too much.
It's too much for him. And for you to say it has a flaw that's hurting the thing that he runs that is also full of flaws is too many strikes for him to deal with. So let's burn the mofo down, Yeah. So he's veering into that territory, and I do feel that there's some time it's like, all right, well, we got to get Dad his medicine. If he gets agitated, you know what happens. We got to call Doc Jenkins over here and take his blood pressure. Jerry, we talked about this, buddy. Can't get worked up like this. You ain't a young man anymore. All right? So
just leave the windows be.
Yeah. Would it kill you to, call Arlington Window and see what they can do? Look, I'll tell you this. There's a window tinting place that is, and I'm not even making a joke here. There's a window tinting place that is catty corner to the stadium there. You get Jose from that place, he'll be like, yeah, I got you. I'll hook you up. You give me tickets, we're done.
They do it for free.
They'll do it for free. Yeah, you hook me up. Make sure I don't have to run in this stadium and do standing room only. You give me some tickets, Mr. Jones, I got you. CeeDee Lamb will never drop another pass again. We'll get you double limo on this sucker. That's going to do it for us.